first question, what is a fandom?
Fanatic domain? Is that what it stands for? Something like that?
I like the legit definition. Oh my gosh.
Fanatic domain.
A fandom is any group of people who have a strong commitment to one particular show or series.
I'd say I think a fandom is about like a group of people who just like kind of like come together and they have like a mutual interest or anything.
Fandoms, as defined by Urban Dictionary, is a community that surrounds a TV show, movie, or book. Fanfiction writers, artists, poets, and cosplayers are all members of that fandom. Fandoms often consist of message boards, live journal communities, and people. One of the defining characteristics of fandoms is how interactive they are. Some of the most successful fandoms are those whose creators actively interact with their fans. Fandoms are one of the main things shaping the mediascape today, and as technology evolves, they will continue to have a larger impact on not only media, but the world itself. Harry Potter managed to stop slave chocolate being sold in the magical wizarding world of Harry Potter. They're also one of the most recent popular series to get the standard of a fan wanting representation having real-world consequences, such as Gay Dumbledore, Jewish Anthony Goldstein, and Black Hermione. Lord of the Rings is credited with an incredible amount of popularity with fantasy. It's because of the popularity of Lord of the Rings that the world has been given so many fantasy games such as Dungeons & Dragons, Ultima, and the World of Warcraft series. Game of Thrones, like Harry Potter, has had its massive popularity used as a weapon to better the world around it. Game of Thrones has been used many times as a comparison for any real-world conflict involving the sea. It also coined sexposition. Twilight inspired an entire generation of writers, one of the main inspirations contributed an origin story for the new adult genre. It's been criticized heavily for how it might influence a girl's perception of how a relationship should be. That in itself is an acknowledgement as to how powerful a group of people liking a book can be. Without any further research, the first book to have its fanfiction turned into an original story, and then turned into a major motion picture, which in turn hiked up the rates for sex toy injuries. Hunger Games inspired conversation on race and ableism. Although more of a trend fandom, it's managed to open up many children to the idea of war and loss, outside of Harry Potter, of course. And Percy Jackson is one of the most important examples as to how, if you do not give fans what they want, your franchise might fail. Its movie franchise likely failed because the fans thought that the movie was terrible. Likewise with Avatar: The Last Airbender. In comics, DC and Marvel has an amazing amount of cosplays and has pioneered the superhero genre. Their movies make millions of dollars per year. Star Wars, it has the early ticket sales for The Force Awakens actually crashed websites. It's released in 1980, which makes it one of the oldest fandoms around. With television, you have Supernatural. It failed at gay baiting and now some of its ratings are falling. It's part of the trifecta of Super Wholock. With Sherlock, the show actively references fan theories, and Doctor Who at its 1963 release also makes it one of the oldest fandoms still around. You also have Arrested Development, which brought back their show after popular fan demand, South Park, which actually had an entire episode dedicated to gay fan fiction, and then you have Firefly. Fans actually got a movie to wrap up all the plot lines after it was discontinued. With games, you have popular games such as GTA, which actually had a Supreme Court case which decided video games were art, guaranteeing their protection by the First Amendment. And then you have Fallout 4, which actually caused a massive decrease in Pornhub's traffic. You have music, which are things like One Direction. One Direction was actually had an entire conspiracy made called Babygate, and it also has another conspiracy called Eleanor is Not Real. You also have Beyonce, who has an entire throng of dedicated fans, and Taylor Swift, whose fandom is actually more like a cult. You also have YouTube. You have YouTubers like Tyler Oakley, PewDiePie, The Fandom, and Troye Sivan. They basically have to have a fandom to keep going, and many have gained fame. They also might have a lot of luck with creating fandoms simply because they actively feed into what so many fans crave, which is closeness and connection. Now, fandoms continue to evolve with technology. Audiences for shows have shrunk, though this is more attributable to the increased number of scripted shows. Streaming services are surpassing DVD sales, and we also need to think about DVD rentals. Comic-Cons and all other cons of its type serve as a huge moneymaker for their cities, and tickets tend to sell out very fast. In the future of media, we will need to think more and more about our fans and how we interact with them. No longer creators can simply dismiss a complaint about their work because, as we can see, a fandom has the power to make or break an entire franchise. How we prepare for this future? Listen to the fans, interact with them. Know when you're smarter than them and when they're smarter than you. With the rise of the internet, content creators no longer live in a privileged bubble where there's not much competition and not much drawback. The growing power of the fandom can either be your best friend or your worst enemy. Are you in any fandoms?
I've actually kind of, since my freshman year, I've really liked this one professor. His name's Eric Williams, and he just taught me so much in his class that I've got a lot out of it, and I just love him so much.